Okay, hi there, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL iBT. I'm going to actually read and evaluate your independent writing practice test number 5. So overall, you're probably right around the 3.0 out of 4 range, or 3.0 out of 5. That's going to put you right around 20 points out of 30. So what are some things that you can do to make this essay a little bit better, right? So that's what we want to do during this video. So the first thing is, I think that the thesis needs to be a little bit more sharply focused. So say nowadays the teacher's salary has become a controversial topic in many countries. Maybe put "and" here to avoid that comma splice, and many students and parents different might say varying opinions on how teachers should be paid. Some hold the opinion that teachers' salaries, make this plural, should depend on how much the students learn. Personally, I disagree with this statement. So you don't really have a thesis, so I'm going to take some points from your body paragraphs So that's one point. I disagree with this statement. Since students learn at different paces and have different learning capacities, and giving teachers this added financial incentive could negatively affect students' performances. So the question is, what did I do here? So I took the points from this paragraph where you say students learn at different paces and have different learning abilities, and I use the word capacities here instead of abilities. So that ties along with your point of your second body paragraph. And then the next one, you're saying that and I'm not sure what you're saying here, to be honest with you. It's really hard to get your meaning. So what do? You have to be able to use more precise, more specific vocabulary that helps you answer the question. Okay, so let's go to our next paragraph for a minute here. Okay, let's start off with our second body of paragraphs. You say individual students learn at different paces and possess different abilities to grasp the learning skill. You might say, not So I'm going to put this in here. This helps tie it back to the purpose. So teachers should not be paid according to how much the students learn, because individual students learn at different paces and possess different abilities to understand the subject matter. Okay, so before you say in additionally, you have to give an example here. So what we're doing is to give an example to help illustrate the idea about how students learn at different paces. So if a mathematics teacher is teaching his students a complicated equation, some students will be able to learn that information faster, not because of the teaching style, but because maybe the student has practiced the homework a lot at home, or has had his or her parent explain the subject matter. In either case, the student learns faster than other. You might say the student may learn faster than other students due to factors that are beyond the teacher's control. So what I'm doing is trying to develop, you need more specific ideas in your body paragraphs. That's going to help you with your argument. So we're trying to really get this point that students learn at different paces, right? So for example, if a mathematics teacher is teaching his students a complicated equation, some students will be able to learn that information faster, not because of the teaching style, but because the students has practiced the homework maybe a lot at home, or has had his or her parent explain the subject matter. Maybe put here, re-explain the subject matter. In either case, a student may learn faster than the other students due to factors beyond the teacher's control. Then you might say, may not they've not done the homework. They may not have parental sufficient parental guidance at home or simply may not have the talent to grasp you might say something like this. You might say here, okay, I think we have it. All right, so let's continue on. Let's look at this paragraph one more time. So first of all, teachers should not be paid according to how much your students learn because individual students learn at different paces and possess different abilities to understand the subject matter. So we have, for example, if a mathematics teacher is teaching his students a complicated equation, some students will be able to learn that information faster, not because of the teaching style, but because the students, or because the student maybe has practiced the homework a lot at home, or has had his or her parent re-explain the subject matter. In either case, a student may learn faster than other students due to factors that are beyond the teacher's control. Conversely, other students may not learn the math equation as quickly because they have not done the homework, they may not have sufficient parental guidance at home, or they simply may not have the, let me give a little bit better word here, intellectual ability, or they simply may not have the intellectual ability to grasp complex math operations. In both of these cases, it would be unfair if teachers are paid according to how their students learn the subject matter. That's it. That's a pretty good developed paragraph. So what I did is, we just have this idea here, we have a very specific topic sentence, then we use all this information here to refer to that. So that is the depth. That's what you're looking for if you want to score higher. You need a lot more depth and complexity to your ideas. Right now in your writing, you're not really showing that. So if you say secondly, then we can say here firstly. Okay, this idea, I want to make your paragraph work, but I'm just not sure what you're trying to say here. So you say, if teachers, you want to use this, let's say, the assertion that, so we're saying if the assertion, then we have that teachers should be paid according to how much the students learn is true, then we might say, many students I don't know here, many students' performances might be poor many students' performances might be poor. You might say especially those maybe that require assistance. The problem is I don't understand what you're saying here. When I was a high school student, I remember some teachers were paid not to teach, but rather to sit in a guarded room from start to finish of each school day. If the statement is true, that it was more cost-effective to pay them to sit and do nothing than go through the process of finishing their employment. See, I don't really know what you're trying to say here. That's the issue, is your ideas are just not easy to understand. So let's look at what you're trying to say, though. So many students' performances might always be poor, especially those that require assistance. For example, you must say, let's suppose that a biology, and what we have to do here, we have to give an example to illustrate your point in order for your argument to work. So you might say, let's suppose that a biology high school teacher is paid according to how much his students can master, we'll say the concept, maybe photosynthesis, then we'll say the process by which light converts sunlight into energy, right? So what am I doing here? I'm giving a specific example here. I'm trying to help support the generalization about how students' performances might be affected, right? So we've set up the example here. So let's suppose that a biology high school teacher is paid according to how much his students can master the concept of photosynthesis, the process by which light converts sunlight into energy. If 4 or 5 of his students cannot understand the lesson, then he may spend more time helping those specific students to learn the concepts Unfortunately, if this teacher or this extra time spent on a few students, this extra time spent on a few students means that the rest of the students will not be able to get in-depth explanation of the lesson. So I think we're kind of making a point here. So we have, unfortunately, this extra time spent on, we'll say, on a few students means that the rest of the students will not be able to get an in-depth explanation of the lesson. Even worse, it is possible that some of the students that the teacher is trying to help are unmotivated, you might say have poor study habits, which is why they are not learning the content of the lesson. Okay, I think we're going in the right direction here. Notice how I'm really trying to take my time to develop each of these topics. So secondly, alright, let's take a look at one more. So we got, secondly, if the assertion that teachers should be paid according to how much their students learn is true, many students' performances might always be poor, especially those who require extra assistance. For example, let's suppose that a biology high school teacher is paid according to how much his students can master the concept of photosynthesis, the process by which light converts sunlight into energy. If 4 or 5 of his students cannot understand the lesson, then he may spend more time helping those specific students to learn the concepts. Unfortunately, this extra time spent on a few students means that the rest of the class will not be able to get an in-depth explanation of the lesson. Even worse, it is possible that some of the students that the teacher is trying to help are unmotivated, have poor study habits, which is why they're not learning the content. Then you might want to say, therefore, teachers let's use this. Well, not only might want to say a dumbed down form of instruction How about this? Academic and professional careers. So I think we have it. So now we have our final paragraph here. So what do we do here? We got to tie it all together. That's exactly what we have to do, right? Since students learn at different rates and also have different cognitive abilities, we'll say this monetary bonus will result in a poor form of instruction to all, we might say. And this monetary bonus will result in a poor form of instruction for all. And that, what we've done there is we're trying to tie that conclusion, to the rest of the essay, right? And that's kind of what we're doing in the beginning there. And I like what you've already said here. Every qualified educator deserves, you might want to say, a high salary because of the excellent educational experiences they provide for their students. So every qualified educator deserves a high salary because of the excellent educational experiences they provide for their students. It also respects teachers who have honed their skills over the years and truly are master level educators worth every coin of their salary. I like that. I like what you said at the end there. That's effective. All right, let's take a look at the essay one more time, make a few more corrections, I'll make some final recommendations and give you a score. So nowadays, the teacher's salary has become a controversial topic in many countries, and many students and parents hold varying opinions on how teachers should be paid. Some people hold the opinion that teachers' salaries should depend on how much students learn. Personally, I disagree with this statement since students learn at different paces and have different learning capacities, and giving teachers this added financial incentive could negatively affect students' performances. All right, so paragraph 2. Firstly, teachers should not be paid according to how much your students learn because individual students learn at different paces and possess different abilities to understand the subject matter. For example, if a mathematics teacher is teaching his students a complicated equation, some students will be able to learn that information faster. Not because of the teaching style, but because the student has practiced the homework a lot at home or has had his or her parent re-explain the subject matter. In either case, a student may learn faster than other students due to factors that are beyond the teacher's control. Conversely, other students may not learn the math equation as quickly because they have not done the homework, they may not have sufficient parental guidance at home, or they simply may not have the intellectual ability to grasp complex math operations. In both of these cases, it would be unfair if teachers are paid according to how their students learn the subject matter. Okay, now our next paragraph. So your strategy was to use two-body paragraphs, right? The problem is if you're using two-body paragraphs, you have to really develop each of those paragraphs if you want to score high. And you didn't really do that. So it says here, secondly, if the assertion that teachers should be paid according to how much your student learn is true, many students' performances might always be poor, especially those that require extra assistance. For example, let's suppose that a biology high school teacher is paid according to how much, I want to see here, according to how much his students can master the concept of photosynthesis, the process by which light converts sunlight into energy. If 4 or 5 of his students, if 4 or 5 of his students cannot understand the lesson, then he may spend more time helping those specific students to learn the concepts. Unfortunately, this extra time spent on a few students means that the rest of the students will not be able to get an in-depth explanation of the lesson. Even worse, it's possible that some of the students that the teacher's trying to help are unmotivated and have poor study habits, which is why they're not learning the content of the lesson. Therefore, paying teachers based on students' learning results in a dumbed-down form of instruction, which will be ineffective in preparing these pupils for their academic and professional careers. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Then we have our conclusion. In conclusion, I still believe teachers should not be paid according to how much your students learn, since students learn at different rates and also have different cognitive abilities, and since this monetary bonus will result maybe in a poor form of instruction for all. Every qualified educator deserves a high salary because of the excellent educational experiences they provide for their students. It also respects teachers who have honed their skills over the years and truly are master-level educators worth every coin of their salary. And there it is. So now the question is, what is your score and why? I almost put you in the 3 range, but that one paragraph, this one here, I wasn't able to really understand what you're trying to say there, and that's a serious communication issue. So because of that, I'm going to put you a little bit lower than 3. So I'm going to put you at the 2.75 out of 5, or 18 points out of 30 on this practice test. Now if we take a look at the syllabus, so we have the TOEFL spring quarter, let's say 2016. We want to figure out what your grade is right now. Right, so if we take a look at it here, okay, so I gave you 275, so that's going to put you at 73% on this particular assignment. So what do you do? What do you do now? I think here you need to work a little bit on your vocabulary, I think a little bit more on your grammar. I think that's partly something that's going to help you. So let's go to my website for just a minute and let's just take a look at a few things. So your vocabulary, I think, needs to be improved. But let's talk about writing first. So I think you can work a little bit more on creating sharply focused thesis statements for the independent writing task. I think lesson number 4 is a good lesson for you. What else? Lesson number 4.1, a simple, direct approach to answering the TOEFL iBT independent writing task. Take a look at that. And you can do a little bit better job with lesson number 8, how to make your writing more coherent. But if we're honest, even if you learn those things, you still don't have the language use that you need to explain your ideas, so what do? It's going to be hard work. It's only up to you. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't, then you're the same as you are now. But I think really, honestly, that you need to work, I think, on vocabulary lesson number 4, and then go through and learn these words, go through the quizzes, then do vocabulary lesson 5, learn all those words, go through the quizzes, and then vocabulary lesson number 6. That's going to be helpful for you right now. How long does it take? Probably take you a couple of months, but I'm telling you, 8 weeks from now, you'll be thanking me if you learn these words. You will find you'll have a much wider range of expression. Did you notice how specific that I was in these 2 body paragraphs? I mean, the fact that I bring up ideas like the mathematics teacher teaching an equation. I talk about photosynthesis, the process by which light converts sunlight into energy. The only way that you can get to that specificity in your writing is by improving your vocabulary, so that way you can more fully express your ideas. It'll be a lot easier to use the details in your writing if you do that. So that would be one of my first recommendations for you. Now the last thing is, if you go to the grammar part of my course, there is one more thing that you can do that I think will make a difference with your writing abilities. So if you go over to, let's go to lesson number 32 here, writing, grammar, and research exercises. So you go to lesson 32 in the grammar part of my course. Right, to begin your regular practice of writing and grammar, click here. My recommendation first, go through the writing exercises. I think that's good. Just put cancel. You can work on exercises, purpose, audience, thesis statements, introductions. I think choosing an appropriate point of view, topic sentences, and transitions. I think if you can work in these areas for a few weeks, it will help you to improve your writing. Now, the next thing is you can also start going through the grammar exercises. Just kind of what I'm doing. So you go to sentence style. You see all those things. You want to study all those lessons. Then you go to word choice. And you have a lot more practice there. You go to grammatical sentences. You have even more practice here. You have ESL challenges. You get more practice, punctuation mechanics, and basic grammar. So a combination, I think, of improving your vocabulary and then going through these specific writing and grammar exercises at this website that I'm showing you now, and then making some of the recommended changes that you see in the video, right? As I took your writing, which is 2.75, I rewrote it to show you what it takes to get a perfect score. So now you know what it takes to get 5.5 out of 5 or 30 points out of 30 on this type of writing task. All right, anyway, thank you for completing the writing assignment, and all the best to your high-scoring writing success.